And he had actually one story I thought was pretty interesting. It was about a doe who had gone back to their summer range with her mama, and the mama kicked her away so she could have her new baby. And then she took off and went 80 miles north from where they were at, and then came back almost footstep for footstep on the exact same trail, that 80 miles, and then continued to hang out in that summer range with her mother. But went on a walkabout, and just amazing. The data we would not know if we did not have these animals tracked with collars
Right.
and other information we're collecting from them.
Okay, we're here today on the podcast to talk about the Wyoming Range Mule Deer Research Project in Western Wyoming. This research project is led by Kevin Monteith and his team at the Monteith shop in the University of Wyoming. We just recently did a podcast on fawn captures. Chris, Stefan, and myself talked about it in our experience. But today we have 3 new individuals that have never experienced this, and we want to hear their story and how they felt about the whole experience of going up, capturing fawns. That has been a new component to this research project in the last 13 years since the inception of this research project. And to start, they collared adult female mule deer, and then eventually they just kept adding components to it. And one of those was capturing their fawns, collaring the fawns, learning more about how the fawns are with their mother, and so on. And so we're just here to talk about the experience that these 3 young ladies that are with us today, and how much they learned through this whole trip, or hikes, multiple hikes that you have to do to reach a point where you capture these fawns. So first, I'll just let everyone introduce themselves. Stevie, we can start with you.
Hi, I'm Stevie Kennedy, and I'm pretty thankful that I'm here today and was able to experience this with these ladies.
I'm Annette McFarland, and I'm glad I got to go. It was an amazing experience.
I'm Lindsay Duty, and I got invited by Annette to go.
Okay, great. So to start, how Annette was able to participate in this, we had a ladies-only event, Muley Fanatic Foundation's Glammed Up, and we had a silent auction, and she won the bid on this item, which was to go out and hang out with Monteith shop and experience fawn captures. And this was done middle of June, correct?
Yes.
Annette, we'll just start with you once again and let us know the whole experience. We'll talk about Dr. Kevin Monteith and give him a big head again.
Yeah, it was an absolutely amazing experience. First of all, the whole ride with Kevin is this learning opportunity where you get your wildlife biology degree by the time you're done, and learn about mule deer and every animal that he knows about, which is everything. It's moose, antelope, everything. And then getting to go with him and hiking into the hills and finding those fawns, and he's out there holding his antenna and getting these beeps going, and he's like, can you tell? Can you see that's different? And I'm like, I don't see how any of it's different, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, very amazing.
When he has that telemetry, he's like, we're getting closer. I hear no more further beeps than you heard earlier.
Yeah,
they know that. Yeah, awesome. What else?
The fawns themselves are precious. I don't know how to describe it, but you find these little babies that are hiding in the brush, and they just lay there, and they're hiding, and that's their response. This just lay down and don't move, because they're too tiny to try to get away, and they, of course, can't defend themselves. And you think about, how do they survive this? And how do they live to become a full-grown mule deer, right? They are stinking cute. You sit there, you pick them up, and they're just these big eyes, and they're just adorable and everything. And you just want to take care of them. And so you want to protect the babies. And now we know too that it's incredibly important to protect the mamas. Right? It's all about feeding the mamas, making sure the mamas have the correct habitat to live in, the right kind of feed in the habitat, and protect their migration routes to and from that habitat. And just so much information that we learned from Kevin on this trip. It was just amazing.
Just to clarify, all when capturing these fawns and that, we all follow the proper procedures and everything to care for them, to make sure that we're not overhandling them. I'm sure Kevin taught you
Yes.
how to wash your hands with sagebrush.
Yes.
You literally grab brush, sagebrush, whatever it may be, some vegetation type, and pretty much wash your hands in it before you handle these. And they're very cautious, very careful, and they make this procedure as quickly as possible, because the less that we have to handle these animals, the better we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Kevin's handled thousands of animals in his lifetime, and he knows how to do it. He understands what you can and cannot do, and he always tells us he's never had problems. Just want to make sure that the audience understands that this is all done properly and with permission from the Wyoming Game and Fish Department, as they all have to follow through their requirements and licenses and such too, to handle these animals.
Yep, exactly.
I'll piggyback off that. It was like, I still don't have, I think, the correct words to describe my experience. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was educational. I'm still speechless. Kevin is an incredible person. He's extremely knowledgeable. He makes you want to quit your job and go back to school and become a biologist, just like him. I feel like I'm Kevin Jr. in telling everyone what I learned. I think I was one of those people who looked at a buck and thought, wow, like, he's a beautiful creature, his antler, his growth, but behind the scenes, for him to become what he has, what a mule deer doe has done for him, is absolutely incredible. And I look at her now more than I ever would. And you look at her with the utmost respect for what she has went through her entire life, from being a fawn herself to becoming a mother to spending the rest of her life creating these amazing creatures to protecting them. How he was explaining what these moms do to protect these babies it's wild. They trust the atmosphere, right? They drop the baby, they leave it, they watch it from afar, they're scentless. What she does for them, just to every few hours she goes and feeds them, she makes them use the restroom and then cleans them. They're completely scentless for such a long period of time, still has eyes on them and hoping that no predator can come and take these fawns. And she spends every second of her life, for the rest of her life, protecting these babies. And it's just, they are absolutely incredible animals. And the experience was amazing. And I'm so thankful that I was able to be part of this.
Yeah, a lot more respect for the critter now. And you know what Kevin says, fat moms make the mule deer go around. So there's so much truth to that.
It is.
That mom's nutrition, every deer that's walking out onto that landscape was dependent upon their mother. As you said, the buck, the antlers, there is genetics involved with the growth of their antlers and what typical whatever it may be. But it also goes, as they discovered, it also goes to what the mom was like when that male fawn was born. If she was very healthy, very fat, more than likely that buck is going to grow to be a large antlered male. And it's just incredible on just those slightest little things that they've discovered. And within the 13-year period of this research project, it's been amazing of what they've been able to do. Perfect time frame, having 2 record winners, one that was just probably the worst winter we've had in probably 5 decades, and then just recently we've probably had a record mild winter. So now they're discovering some new things just from that, where the fawns have been born early than normal. When you guys win, it was actually usually the peak of the fawn's birth. Now it was towards the end of it. They've had multiple moms with triplets. So a lot of amazing things they're discovering in this research project during this time frame. And who knows what's to come. We find out what the fawns do and learn from the mothers, the obstacles that they all have to go during their migrations from summer range to winter range to summer range, and how the fawn learns all that from its mother. And then the mom gives birth at the exact same place every summer. And then the fawn kind of develops that too, or finds its own place eventually. And then that carries on year after year as well.
And that's, I think, another thing that I don't think people realize that these does, some of them go 10 miles and some of them go 100, and
Mhm.
they're all different, but they do the exact same migration pattern every winter, every spring, every winter. And then their female fawns, once they're grown, they do the exact same thing, which what we learned at the Glammed Up last year was the rose petal theory. And I think there's so much to that. And it's a beautiful concept. And the data behind it is obviously proving so much, but it's crazy that a doe can have a fawn in the same birthing spot as her previous does. And then that doe, when she has her fawns, she's going to be birthing around the same area. They're incredibly smart animals. And it made me honestly really speechless to learn just how smart and protective that these does truly are, just to take care of these little fawns so they can continue growth and to grow their herds.
We talk about the obstacles that they go through just to survive year after year from summer to winter and that. And we talk about this a lot because that's why you see a lot of wildlife crossings on these highways being built, because it keeps that connectivity. And that way they're not getting hit by vehicles every year and such as that, and fences that they have to jump over all the time. And there's just so many challenges for them. And habitat's probably the top of it all, is because if it keeps them healthy so they can survive through those things, through the hard winters, the habitat is just so important. And research also helps us with what habitat do we enhance or protect. We have to learn where these mule deer are, where are they living, what are they utilizing the most, hours, multiple hours. Just because you see a deer in an aspen stand doesn't mean that's where it lives. It could just be traveling through and maybe utilize that aspen stand for a couple hours in its lifetime. I don't know, but there's been millions of dollars spent on enhancement of habitat that probably hasn't even been touched by mule deer for all we know. And those are some of the things that we've learned through research as well.
One of the things I wanted to go back to, though, was we talk about the rosebud theory and how they keep going back to the same places. But once in a while, you get the wild card, the one that kind of goes off and wants to experience a new life without his mama or her mama or whatever. And they start to establish a new environment. And those are the things that Kevin was kind of talking about, trying to understand why they do that, because we don't know.
Yeah.
And he had actually one story I thought was pretty interesting. It was about a doe who had gone back to their summer range with her mama, and the mama kicked her away so she could have her new baby. And then she took off and went 80 miles north from where they were at, and then came back almost footstep for footstep on the exact same trail, that 80 miles, and then continued to hang out in that summer range with her mother, but went on a walkabout. And just amazing, the data we would not know if we did not have these animals tracked with collars
Right.
and other information we're collecting from them.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, talked about that story, because that's always just stamped into my mind. Ever since he told me the story of that doe doing that's just amazing. They have their own satellite system on their head and just know the path. They don't need onyx. It's internal in them, and it's amazing that they can do that.
Yes.
And he had said too, it just takes one trip and they have it down.
Yeah.
For step for step, which is unbelievable.
I love Kevin to death, but sometimes I hate talking just so much about him. But
I kind of want to be a Kevin Jr. Sorry, I'm a fan.
I know. I definitely don't want to look like him, but I want to be like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an amazing person. He knows a lot of stuff, and you can sit there for just hours and days listening to the knowledge that he has and what he's learned from all the research stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he makes you feel like you're learning with him, but you're going to go do something better with the knowledge that he's giving you. I felt like learning what he had told us and educated us in, I can't stop talking about it. I've probably said it before. My husband's probably ready for me to pick another topic, but mule deer does are a thing in my family now. My neighbors hear about it, my coworkers, but it's his passion and his education, his knowledge. It radiates, Kevin, and it makes you want to do the same. And then it makes you want to go do that to others and explain to them, this is why they are so important, down from the habitat to the weather, the foliage. I was blown away also by the vegetation. We were in an area where, I don't know, there's greenery everywhere. And they only eat this and a little bit of that and just a smidge amount of this. And we're like, but what? They have all this option, like all these options, but it's so minimal in what they eat and what they know they can and can't eat, and what's so important that regrows in their habitat that they migrate back and forth to.
Yep. Dandelions. It's all about the dandelions.
So, Lindsay, tell us, so on these fawn captures, what all is involved? Just tell us your whole journey until up from the start to the finding the fawns, seeing the whole process and everything, and up till the end of it.
We drove hours and hours to get to the perfect spot. And then we hiked a few miles in uphill, and he kept saying we're almost there, but we knew he was lying.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got close. There was 3 originally that they were looking for. They tagged triplets, but they were too small for the long-term collar, so we had to go back in and retag them with the collar for a few weeks. And then he pulled out the antenna, and the beeps thing, right? He was like, can you guys hear it? And I was like, absolutely not. I don't get it. And then he's like, it should be right here. And we found the collar, and one of them was presumed deceased. We didn't find one of the triplets. And then we went and found the other 2, and they were so hidden. It was absolutely insane. How many times I've probably walked on trails and down by the river and everywhere and past them. I didn't see them. These guys were the ones that found them, and I had no idea. I was more in awe by the spot they were hidden than anything. It was just insane. And it was so taboo to be able to touch them, right? We were taught proper handling of them and really got to talk about what we were doing and time frame and how to wash our hands. But it still felt so taboo. So to pick up that baby and handle it appropriate with absolute respect to nature and the project that's being done with it. But we did it. I think some people broke out in tears just in the awe of it and the preciousness of it and the innocence of it, how vulnerable they are and how the mom does just leave them and trust nature. And the cool thing about driving there for hours was we got to hear about all the research that's gone into it for as long as he's been doing it, not just with Wyoming and the Wyoming range, but South Dakota and in California, and how all the data is compiled into this moment. And now we got that, and that was great. And so, we got to tag the first 2. And we were tired. It was a heck of a hike. It was hot. We were ready to go home. And then he got a call that he had another one, and his whole team was already out on fawn calls. So he said, you guys want to go again? And my mind was like, not really, but I will never get to go again if I don't go now. And so we all agreed, yes, let's go. It felt like road trip junkies out, like heading out in the middle of nowhere for another fawn. And in that one, we got out there and 100 yards off the trail where we were at. And just laying there in the ground. And he did a full assessment on this one. It was brand new with taking samples and all of that. So that was just kind of the experience. It felt, there's a part component that felt wrong because I've grown up in Wyoming, and it's so precious to not touch those babies and to let nature do what it does. So to get to be part of that felt like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and to also be explained. I think if you had just met up with him on a trail somewhere and started hiking in, you wouldn't get that background of why the information is important, what the overall project's going to lead to, and how it's going to help. That was a really important component of it. And so then our night was over, but it was an awesome opportunity. I will always remember it too.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I was the one who cried.
Not surprised.
I did say, is it okay if I cry? Because I'm going to start crying. And then I cried.
Jeez.
It was
That's all right. Chris cried too.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's one of those things, though, that Lindsay said, it felt wrong, but it was so incredible that you were in this moment and you're a part now of the future of this fawn and the experience and the data and everything that went to it. I couldn't control the tears. They were coming.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely, when we express that to a lot of volunteers or people who have supported us or contributed, whatever, to try and get out there and be part of it. And I understand that Kevin he does his best to provide that opportunity for as many people as possible, but he also has to be very cautious on what he does and everything else. It's so great when folks like you are able to do this. And I encourage anyone, rather it be fawn captures or capturing the adults, which I definitely recommend if you guys can, when they do that in March and in December. It's about the same thing when you're handling the mothers and you're learning what shape she's in and everything else. That hands-on experience, you just learn so much. And I didn't know a whole lot. I knew about mule deer. It's something that I'm just so passionate about. It's my favorite animal in the world, and I sometimes tear up about them too. But there's so much since getting involved with conservation. It's just amazing the things that I've learned throughout the years, and I know I'll continue to learn more and more just because of people like Kevin and his team, biologists with the Game and Fish Department. Those folks that's their job and that's their passion. That's what they do, and they teach you so much. And that's something that we strive for too, is education and awareness, because people assume so many things, but they really cannot say a whole lot until they learn the science behind a lot of this. I'm just so thankful for folks like you who are able to come and experience this, because it really makes a lot of like Jenna and I and Chris's jobs easier, because when we're trying to push a raffle or a fundraising event to raise money for a certain project, no one really understands why. We do, and we don't have to explain it when people like you are able to experience it, and then you go spread the word, just like your entire neighborhood now, Stevie, probably knows the importance of research and why we need does all out on the land right now.
Absolutely. I am out there I think I might mention it at least at a minimum once a day. Again, I said sorry to my husband, but it's just fascinating. And I have so much more respect to you guys, what you guys are doing with the fundraising and what your funds are going towards, to helping the biologists, to helping Game and Fish. There's so much to this puzzle. It's every little piece matters, down to our emotions and our experience, but also what you guys are doing to help be able to fund these researches, to get the word out, to advertise the importance of mule deer on the Wyoming range. That's what it comes down to. So I will be forever grateful for my experience, and I will share my passion forever.
And the thing for me is I watch a lot of people who spend a big portion of their life experiencing life on a TikTok video, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're experiencing life in social media, and they're not actually getting out into the world and experiencing the smells, the sights, the sounds, touching. And that's the most incredible thing about this experience is we got to be there in real life. We got to know that fawns don't smell like anything, right? They are scentless. But yet we're out there in the brush that smells like smudgy, sagey, and you're just hiking your butt off to climb over these trees that Kevin can just step over. And I'm like trying to crawl over it because I'm like 4 feet shorter than him. And you put yourself out there, you do this, and you experience the real thing, and there's nothing else like it. And then, of course, we had a fabulous lunch that was provided at the end of it. So I got to put a plug in on that.
Amazing sandwiches. They were the best.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. True factual information right in front of your face. Real time. Not on social media that majority of the time is
AI.
False information. This is hands-on, in your face, true facts about whatever you're dealing with.
And that's what I think is the in the moment education for me was so surreal. I think we came up with a question every minute on the minute for Kevin.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it. We didn't stop talking at all, but one question led to another question. And then we'd walk over, like Annette said, like a 4-foot downhill piece of tree that we all had to bear crawl over. And then Kevin just hops. But then we're like, oh, we have another question for you, which led to another. But his knowledge and his research and his education, like we could not stop asking him questions. I was in the moment like, oh, we have another question for you. And he could just answer it because of his passion and his research and his experience. And it was incredible.
Yeah, comparing the white-tailed deer to the mule deer on chronic wasting disease and how whitetail carry it, but they don't get it, and how other like moose and mule deer all get the chronic wasting, and then the whole thing about moose and ticks is scarred into my brain. How they get covered in ticks, and that can be what causes them to die. And you're like, oh my God, I don't want to think about ticks anymore. And then the need for the beaver ponds so that they have the mud to lay in because they don't pant. And of course, we're talking about mule deer, but Kevin knows about everybody and everything, right? All of the animals, all of the larger ungulates.
He's going to love this podcast.
She's not wrong. We went from one topic to another, and even like the birthing of the fawns, we learned about their uterus. It's uterine horns. We asked everything, like how they carry the fawns, how long they carry, how do they have stillborns, do they just birth? His knowledge was unbelievable, and it made me want to keep learning. Even if I can't hang out with him every day, which I would like to. And I'm sorry, Joey, I'm admitting it. But I find myself reading and researching, and I just want to keep learning because I have such a huge respect now for these animals and what they go through. And like she was saying earlier, how trusting the doe is in the process of raising her fawn with all the predators out there, with nature. It's precious. It's every second matters for these poor animals, and the does trust the process. They're incredible.
I really like the does too and the whole biology behind it. But one of the things that impressed me most was the team. When we showed up, their being prepared with all their gadgets and their dedication and going out and communication. I thought to myself, they are on call. They have to run when it is time. They have a very limited window. And then I asked myself, am I that committed to anything right now where you go spend weeks out somewhere and just wait for the transmitters to drop, and then no matter where it's at, you're going in, and they have to do that in March as well for the does, and then insert them again, right? I don't know what the right word is, but the team, the dedication of the team, that's awesome. I really admired that.
Yeah, you definitely have to be passionate about it. The hours that they put through, day in, day out, hiking that many miles, and the terrain is not always easy. And sometimes they don't shower for days because they don't have time. They barely even have time to eat. I don't even know how they even survived, if you ask me. And when we were up there, we came back and Kevin's tent was completely blown over and ripped and torn. So he ended up sleeping in his truck for the next 2 nights. And it's just crazy what they have to go through just so they can gather all this data so we can learn more and everything. It's amazing.
Share it with everyone,
And
right? There's a lot of people
everyone.
who want that research because it's very thorough and very complete, and he's willing to share with everyone out there to help everyone grow in the subject.
Yep. One thing I did learn this year was the last fawns that we caught, Kevin told us that each fawn can be from a different male. So they can have different dads.
Yes.
And I never knew that before. I thought those fawns have one dad, but nope. So I just thought they're both female, so it doesn't matter. I just thought if they were both males, then I'd be like, wonder if that's the big one and that's going to be the little one. But yeah, it's pretty amazing that he would know that.
We could have taught you that. That was a question we asked.
Nice.
I think we did ask one question that he was going to look into, and I don't think he could answer it, but I had asked if they're twins and triplets, are they like humans? Are they identical? Are they together or are they separate? And he said he wasn't 100% sure on that. So we were asking some questions that we're going to expect some answers to soon.
The good thing about Kevin, he will not lie. If he doesn't know, he will find out. And if he doesn't, and if he can't find out through whatever individuals or whatever his sources may be, he'll go out and find out himself. So that's why he's an okay guy. He's okay. He's...
These guys, like we're talking about, they're putting their whole lives on hold during this period of time because, like you say, they're going and going. Fawns are dropping. They got to get out there as quick as possible. And Kevin's got kids, but he's raising them to love the mule deer just as much as the rest of us. And so they know probably more than all of us do about the mule deer at this point in their lives. But yeah, it's a crazy time. That day that we were there, they had 4 or 5 fawns hit the ground.
Yeah.
And they're all going 15 different directions. And this is the tail end. What was it like during the hot
Yeah.
time when they were like dropping? I mean, they have to be running around those hills.
Yep. Yep. When we went, which was first week of June. Yeah. So right before you guys, I was amazed that they had already caught 70 fawns already. And I was like, holy cow, we should only have maybe 10 by now. Yeah, it's incredible that time frame, how it changed.
And then one fawn could be 100 yards in, where the other one could be 11 miles, but they don't stop.
Yep.
It's pretty neat.
It's amazing how far those fawns travel right after birth.
Yeah.
They drop, they're there for a moment, and then mom pushes them, and they go about 50 yards or so when they're that young. But still, just to think that a fawn who can barely walk goes that far and then knows to just stay still and hide. Yeah, they're incredible animals. And all the elk, moose, it's all similar. It's just amazing how those mule deer are.
And then the fawns, it's like, how are you just born with, you already know that within the first, week, he was saying, I believe, that they go into this almost pancake mode and they just know, and they flatten and they don't move. At one point, I think it was Lindsay who was like, the eyes are not blinking. Is it breathing? I haven't seen movement. And they just go in this steady, like, calm state. And then within weeks, they develop where they move a little bit more, or mom moves them a little bit more, and then they can start walking on their own. And within 30 days or so, their life is more likely to be lasting longer and they're going to survive. But those first few weeks are so critical with what they already know to do at birth and what mom expects them to do. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's amazing. Their heart rate. It's amazing how they can control their heart rate, or just how they're born with that certain heart rate for survival. Calms down when they're laying down and everything, but if they get up and start running, their heart rate will go up so fast it'll knock them back down, because Mother Nature knows that there could be a predator. You need to stay down, and their heart will go at a high rate to where it makes them lay down and then calm as can be again. And just, yeah. Last words.
All I can say is I'm just so in awe. The whole thing was this experience that I never had a clue. First of all, I have to clarify this. When we got there, I thought we were going with Rebecca. I thought she was the one taking charge of the show, right? And so she's like, yeah, here's Kevin. He's taking you out today. And I'm like, who the hell's Kevin? So we get in the truck with this Kevin guy. And next thing I know, I'm like, oh my God, he's the world's expert on mule deer. I had no idea.
Lindsay?
Yeah, I'm just chuckling, laughing about that whole few moments of realization and experience, what we thought we were going to do compared to what we got to do, compared to how it turned out and everything that went on. Yeah, I would not have guessed originally that we would be with the wildlife biologist running the program, and to have every question you've ever wanted answered, to be able to ask it and have it answered. But also, I would like to say his demeanor as a person. There was, for people coming in, city slickers coming in who have no idea what they're dealing with, to be treated like a person and to be able to conversate with us scientific information on our level of understanding. And one of the cool things about it is, as women going out, right? And to have it all about being the fat doe, there was something special and unique about it. And that was really pointed out. We always put so much emphasis on the horns and the big male and blah, blah, blah. And to go out and realize, just as a woman, how valuable mothers are to a species' longevity. That was really cool. And that was touched on so many times. So a really unique experience. I have a different found respect for the research going on and how it can benefit the habitats and the community and the hunters as well. And I was honored that I got asked to go, and that we got to go with Kevin and everybody else. It was quite an experience.
And I'm the same. I will be forever grateful. It is a true core memory that I will forever have. It changed my perspective on mule deer in general, just what these does go through and what these bucks came from. It's so important that, like Lindsay had said, you have these bucks and these beautiful growths of antlers, but it took her as well and what she did for those bucks to be what they are. And so I will look at them completely different with the utmost respect forever. And I will continue to bother all my neighbors with my education. And I hope Kevin continues to let me bother him with more questions and research and you guys. It comes down to this couldn't have happened without you guys as well. And I thank you for this experience and the hours that you guys spend for this opportunity to happen and these events to take place for these opportunities, the hours you guys also spend behind the scenes, away from your family to help these researchers and biologists it's beautiful. And everything as a whole, I want to thank you all. And it is a true core memory.
We appreciate that, Stevie, but really there's just a large mass of folks that are really part of this whole thing. You come from our members, people that attend our events, participate in our raffles, and it's not just in Wyoming, it's folks from all around the country. It's amazing of the support that you get. And if it wasn't for those people that are contributing their lively dollars to a foundation like this, so we can do this and learn this and have you guys experience that, it's amazing how large this really is. And is what we always say, family is important, and that's really what, when it comes to the Muley Fanatic Foundation, we try and make it a family type thing. And there's just so many people that are a part of it. And we're so thankful for folks like you to be part of it and do these things and contribute and volunteer time, as you have, Stevie, with some of the events. And if it wasn't for any of that, sure, this is our jobs, but if it wasn't for a lot of those things, our job wouldn't exist, and this foundation wouldn't exist to be able to do those things. We've discovered that there's a lot of importance to help ensure that these mule deer continue. And habitat we've talked about, that's really huge. And then it's the doe. Really, it is the doe. If we do not have her, we do not have mule deer at all. And people keep asking, what's the one thing that's causing mule deer to fall? There's not one thing. There's multiple things. Loss of habitat and predators and everything else are definitely huge in that. But I always try and kind of tell people, really, we all have to look in a mirror. If we really realize all the things that we have done on this earth, we've got highways, we've got houses being developed, we have people that poach. Humans are really up there in the top of causing the populations to fall.
Water.
And water. Think about it all. The reason behind some of these things are usually coming back to humans. But if humans educate themselves, learn about this stuff, be part of the solution, then we can get things done and work as a team. Because if we don't, if we keep butting heads, it's like foundations, organizations, if they all work together, we get things done. And we get things done faster and more of it. And that's why it's always so important. And if everybody would just get along and do things together and understand some of these things instead of getting on social media to bitch about stuff, nothing's ever going to happen if we can't really get together and do this stuff. And that's what this was so important for you guys to be part of. And so I'm so happy that you guys had that. And thank you so much for being on this podcast to talk about your experience. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. And you guys can participate a lot more if you like. And like I said, adult captures are pretty fun. I can see Stevie taking fecal samples out of
Sign me
the
up.
mule deer.
I'm in.
Yep.
Okay, that was my first job when I got to be on my first capture, so that could be yours too.
Perfect. I will volunteer and help in any way. And I love being part of, like you said, the team, the whole experience, the whole everything, all the people, all the foundations, all the events, every part of it. I will always educate anyone I can meet on this.
It's awesome.
Big fan.
All right. Thank you guys so much. And we'll be on to hopefully another podcast in another month or so. But can't wait to share this one. This is going to be good.
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.